So I've learned that at the end of the day, I need to be the one to save myself. And I'll go into a little bit backstory right now of why or how I even got to this place. So growing up, I was very alone. I had a dad who, you know, had to raise and support and make sure a family didn't starve. There was no backup plan, so he was working a lot, and there wasn't much room for emotional connection because if he showed any emotion, he could just crack. There's so much pressure on him. And that I completely understand, and I appreciate the sacrifice. And then with my mother, you know, there's just no connection there. And I think for men, a lot of what gives you the confidence is your relationship with your mother, giving that warmth, that love to hold on and reflect on whenever you feel lonely. You feel loved, It's like at this time I might not love myself, but I know that I am loved because I could close my eyes and remember when I was a child being absolutely nurtured and loved for. So I didn't have that, but I could describe it. But how did I describe it if I didn't know? Well, because I had the opposites. Me and her never really had a conversation. Anytime we talk, it would be a lecture. So it would just always be lecture, lecture, lecture. It would lower my self-worth. She would just stand outside my door and just throw lectures. And that really gave me an isolating feeling, as well as the fact that we would move around a lot. So there wasn't much chance to build a strong network outside of home. And then, in society and in school and everything, there was a lot of bullying because of, just the racial microaggressions and just aggressions in general. Um, it just felt like a very isolating time in my life. And then, these traumas as a child, since I never resolved them, you know, as an adult, I still carry over these traumas that I've had. They were just never resolved. So as an adult, I have these little child, little boy, like there's a little boy inside of me and he's broken. He's reaching out, crying into the void for someone to care, to someone to validate, to someone to save him, to save me. So growing up, I would just push women away as well because it's like, no, you're not the one to save me. You are not, you don't have the qualities. You don't fit the imaginary savior that I had in my head. Because to save me from all this pain, you have to be perfect. You have to have the qualities that I want, which is a very empathetic, very caring, very loving person. So I'm thankful that I met my previous girlfriend. Otherwise, I would still be this lost, broken child, still on the search, this perpetual search for someone to finally hold me, to tell me it's okay, to tell the little broken child, it's like, hey, you can heal now. You can grow into an adult. And it was just the pain of loneliness as a child was so traumatizing that I didn't want to touch it. I didn't feel like I was strong enough to touch it. And that mindset never got resolved. I'm, you know, I'm an adult and I had never thought to tackle this issue because anytime I thought about it, I remember how painful it was to be that child. I used to cry every day, every few days. Anything would make me cry. The smallest thing would make me cry. Just eye contact with, or just any little thing, eye contact with my parents would make me cry. And then it got to a point where I just broke. I just let it all out, and then I didn't cry for like 15 years. Okay, but that's, back on track. I realized that I need to be the one to save myself. So I just gave a little backstory of, you know, my story of needing a savior. But then I got into this relationship and I just, in the beginning, I had learned how to live without a savior. I learned how to live with this hole in my heart because I was distracting myself all the time. I was pursuing my dreams, my goals. I was having, time with friends. I didn't have that moment where I needed to close my eyes and imagine the love of a mom or the love of a nurturing figure from my past, where I could be like, I am cherished. It didn't get to that point. And then COVID hit. And then slowly, I just kept grasping for things to build me up because I had placed my confidence, my validation on external factors. Things, like I said, like, you know, my hobbies, my passions, my friends, going out and having a great time. Since I couldn't do that, I felt so alone. I started to feel more isolated from the world, which, as you were paying attention, was my biggest fear. Being alone by itself is very daunting because then being alone, you might think of your own inner demons. So that's why a lot of people don't like being alone. But the very act of being alone is my demon. So it's not a chance of me living out or thinking about my inner demons. The very act of being alone is my inner demon. So it's 100% bullseye shot of triggering these demons that I have. So as the relationship went on and as COVID went on, I sank further and further into isolation and into a deep depression. And with the Savior, she never signed up for this role. This was a very incredibly selfish thing that I did. I gave her this responsibility of saving me. She was in it for the relationship because she had seen me where I didn't get triggered, where this demon didn't get triggered inside of me. And she fell in love with that Peter, the real Peter. But as I fell into deep depression, I slowly digressed into the broken little child. And then that little child kept grabbing and grabbing and grabbing, trying to squeeze out more attention and love and affection, a nurturing affection, not a romantic affection out of her. And since she didn't sign up for this, she became drained. She started to pull back. And then with her pulling back, slowly pulling back, saying, "Hey, I'm tired." Me, as a little child, I see my savior leaving, you know? And that triggered and a primal instinct to keep trying to grab more. And of course, that would push people away. The more you try to take, the more distance they need now. So it all accumulated in the winter of COVID, where I didn't know how to love myself. I don't need to love myself. That was my thinking growing up. This imaginary figure is going to do it for me. She is going to be the one to love me, to fill this hole in my heart. But then I realized when she left, and this hole in my heart was there again. She had taken the filling out. And then I'm back to square one, to step one. So then I'm lost there, you know? But this time, I've seen exactly what I wished for as a child. I did have my savior for a brief moment. And then I realized this is not sustainable. To fully have this love inside of me, inside of you have to provide it for yourself. I I realized I need to be the one to save myself. If it is the loneliest journey, because I have to, right now, by myself, in isolation, apartment by myself, during lockdown, when I haven't really connected with my friends recently because I was too busy trying to be saved. Just allowing myself to fully embody that little broken boy. So he could come out, even though it's just us two. It's the adult Peter and the broken child Peter. You know, it's just us two. I know. I know this is scary. There's no one else here. But don't worry, because I'm an adult now. If you have this envisioning like me of someone to save me, of to save you, to fill in this hole, you start to realize that the Savior doesn't really know what shape the hole is. I know exactly what shape the hole is. So then I can fill the hole the best. I can make sure every crevice, every nook and cranny is filled in with love. So I guess that's where my journey is at right now. I've reflected and accepted my story. I used to push it away. Say, no, I got this. I'm okay. I'll just take another class. I'll be so busy, I can't even feel lonely. And that did work, you know? I stayed busy with what I loved. But even then, my passions can't save me because even passions are external. Females, girlfriend, spouses, those are external too. but I will always be here. And I'll allow the broken child inside of me to heal. It's going to be painful. It's going to feel like the broken child again. I'm going to have to step into that. And yesterday, I don't know if I'm going to post it or not, but I had briefly talked about on a video uh, for this channel that I want to make um, about just how painful and lonely it was. And I started to tear, something I haven't done in so long. Just started crying. And by myself too. Because usually I'm scared of crying, maybe. Because who knows how deep the sadness goes. I haven't looked down that well in so long. So what if I go too far? I need a supervisor. But then I'm also the supervisor. If I ever get too sad, I'll pull myself back up. Because why? Because I am my own savior. And you can be your own savior too. I hope maybe some insight, maybe some connection to my story, or just resonated with my story, or you enjoyed it. Just see another, life. Life's very fascinating. The intricate details, you know, everyone's living a fascinating life, but it's just not fascinating to me because this is what I've lived. So I am rambling a little bit, but I feel like I think I'm gonna post the other video as well. But for this one, I had just come out of a Asian men's support group where we talked about our feelings. And I feel like this channel would just be an embodiment of that group where I'll share my journey, not give you advice, not this is how you become confident in 5 easy steps, 10 minutes, that's all you gotta do, and then you'll be confident. No, I'm gonna share my journey. And hopefully you can find some usefulness in it. Or just know that you're not alone. I'll keep updates on where I am in my journey to fully loving myself, to becoming the man that I want to be. And whenever you feel down, just know that it is part of the journey. I tell you, hey, Peter's also suffering, He is going crazy. He's talking to his MacBook, posting it on YouTube, thinking people are gonna watch. He is gone loco. But hey, maybe it's just for me. Maybe I'm making this video addressing it to the broken child inside of me. Or maybe the broken child inside of you. Because it's not anyone's role. That's a very selfish thing to do. I feel incredibly guilty of someone who I truly loved. I was selfish with that. I was selfish with their love because I knew that they loved me. so that I could take. She let me take and take and take a lot more than anyone should have. But I think that's enough for this video. I think I'll also talk about my journey with self-love, because to save myself in this journey, you have to use self-love. All right, thank you.